than watch the damn movies.
I have them at home.
Well, I have to warn you, though, that the books will put you to sleep in places, too.
Probably, but at least I didn't waste freaking $11.50 to go watch them or read the book.
Or bought the DVDs, or for 12 hours worth with extra footage.
No, I haven't done that.
No, it does, though. This is one of those situations, polar opposite. The phrase was coined for this. It's either fall asleep and hate them or enthusiastically love them. And I'm enthusiastic about them, and it's one of the few cases where I really want the main characters, the heroes, to succeed and destroy Sauron.
You find yourself rooting for them all along the way.
Yeah, Sauron and even more Saruman, and which is funny because he's even played by Christopher Lee. Now, I've watched Christopher Lee in a lot of Dracula movies and always wanted him to.
Oh, yeah. You always root for Dracula because
you always do.
Dracula.
But no, the two main villains in The Lord of the Rings, they're just rotten, no good.
Evil to the core.
In other words, and it's not that so much that they're evil. It's that they're evil, but they're just mindlessly destructive. Like, these are people that, what I think I hate about them is that not that they kill people. That's okay.
Yeah.
But a big part of their evil is that they want to spoil the natural world. And they do this by tearing down, burning down. Like, they're as good as American industrialists at destroying ancient forestry.
Yeah, so it's more
and
of you care about their planet more. Like, you're destroying everything around them. Kill the people, but save the planet.
Right, and I think that's what it is. We end up rooting for the stoppage of Sauron and Saruman in The Lord of the Rings because they've torn down too many trees.
Yeah. If this was only last week's episode when it was closer to Earth Day, it would have been so much better.
And
it's close enough.
And I'm falling asleep thinking about this movie.
Oh, Chuckles, take a nap.
Yeah.
All right, Chuckles. All right, Chuckles. I'll wake him up again.
There you go.
I'll refocus him on villainy. Okay, Darth Vader aside, who is your favorite movie villain? Give us something I wouldn't have thought of.
I'm surprised you put Darth Vader as number one, because in my book,
with an explanation,
right? In my book, a close number two, and maybe tying in, would be Godzilla.
Now we enter a whole other. That to me goes to our
anti-hero
horror movie anti-hero. Jason Voorhees.
But Godzilla started off as a villain, smashing Tokyo.
But that's fun to watch. You always want Godzilla
I know,
to
but
win.
He's still a villain. You think he's coming to these areas to save us? He's coming to the areas where these monsters are to kick their asses, to show that he's the dominant animal. In the meantime, he's crushing the crap out of Tokyo. He doesn't care about us.
Remember, of course, that's true, though. But let's think about the origin of Godzilla. Godzilla woke up and got really mad and it destroyed Tokyo because they were testing nuclear bombs in the Pacific Ocean. He was minding his own business. He was. Now, of course, if you watch the original Gojira, which was the Japanese version of Godzilla King of the Monsters, you learn that Godzilla was actually a dragon who lived at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, and the only reason he minded his business is that the natives of the Pacific Islands used to send sacrificial girls out on a raft every so often to keep him quiet. Now, so he's villainous from the start. So yeah, if we want to see, I just have such a hard time looking at, because if there's anybody that I root for in a movie.
Oh, I know you do.
Godzilla.
I'll tell you, if I had the money to produce a movie, I would probably produce just like a 3-hour Godzilla epic where he does nothing but just march through Japan, like boiling the whole place to death.
But which Godzilla was it? Even at the end of it, he turned around and vaporized the people. I'm trying to remember. Was that Godzilla 2000?
Yes, yes, it was.
He just turned around after they think, "Oh, you saved me," and he turns around and poof, torches them.
And that was great because if you remember that movie, at least in the American version, and I think it was even in the Japanese dubbed version, the voiceover at the end is how wonderful that the alien creature has been destroyed and Godzilla has saved us again. And for some reason, nobody was paying attention because all that dialogue about "thank you, Godzilla" is rolling as, like you said, in the very last 10 seconds of that movie, on screen. He just turns around, glances back the way he came, and blasts everything with what do you say, a 360-degree
everything around him.
Just sets everything on fire before we fade out of the movie.
Yeah, that's definitely not an act of a good guy.
No, and that's where I think the newest American Godzilla got it wrong. They're trying to market him as the good guy again. It does not work.
We'll see what they do with the second one, though.
Oh, they're going to make him even more of a good guy, aren't they?
We'll see. Let's not throw stones yet until we see what they do.
Okay, where is that in the production process? You keep track of
I think 2018 it's supposed to be coming out.
Okay.
So we get a long ways for that comes out. So
okay.
He's
going to fight. Do they have his opponent yet?
No, but I think they gave you the Easter egg in the first one with Mothra.
That hint.
Yeah,
that's what I've said. Yeah,
I'm thinking it's going to be because Mothra is usually the good guy character. So if they're going to throw Mothra in there,
then something's
Godzilla's the villain.
I've also heard Ghidorah, the three-headed monster.
That would be killer. That would be really cool if that did happen. But that would be jumping the story really quick, which producers do. But that would be jumping the storyline.
Yeah, I don't. Plus, when you talk about Godzilla as hero or villain too, one of my favorite. It depends what series of Godzilla films you're talking about. I mean, there's the original one we talked about. Then there's those movies they made in the 60s and 70s, which kind of transitioned into Godzilla being the good guy cheered on by the little Japanese kid in the cap. Then they go back to Godzilla as villain in the 90s, and then bring you up to date in the 2000s, with it's all over the place. Starting off, he fights the alien, but then he burns down, like we talked about in 2000. My favorite Godzilla, or my favorite retelling of the Godzilla legend, it's called, and this is probably why it's not more well known, because it's got the awkward title of Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. That's the name of the movie. Now, I don't know who's in their marketing department over at Toho Films, but that's the name of the movie. And the whole premise, and I was surprised because it was made by a Japanese producer and director, but the whole premise of this movie is to explain, because it's almost become it's a punchline now. Japan gets knocked down again and again and again by the monsters, right? And the question answered in this movie is, why does that happen? Why does Godzilla and everybody keep coming back again and again and again every decade in all these series to destroy Japan? And have you seen this one, Chuckles?
I have not seen this one.
All right, see what you think of this. The reason that Godzilla comes back every 10 years, like clockwork, to destroy Japan, is because Godzilla is possessed by the souls of all the innocent victims of the Japanese atrocities perpetrated in World War II. Godzilla is the judgment of the innocent on the nation of Japan. So that he rose again 10 years after World War II. And if you look at the timeline of the series, it fits. And every time he comes back, it's after Japan is rebuilt and they've become prosperous and they've forgotten their past and what they did. And they no longer acknowledge their past. And that's when Godzilla rises again to destroy Japan and remind them about what destruction is.
America needs a similar monster like that.
I'll tell you, yeah. But the problem is that America doesn't seem to have it in their culture to do it.
We tried with that stupid thing. What the hell is that thing where the cameras were all shaky and everything? Remember that?
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield. We tried with that.
That
thing
made
was
me nauseous.
Horrible.
Groans of disgust reverberate around the studio.
Yeah. And it wasn't nauseous because of the film being grotesque. It was just the movement of the camera made me want to vomit.
Bad movie. They teased you for 6 months or more what the creature's going to look like. And in the movie, they give you a 5-minute glance of it after all that.
Okay. I'm probably in a minority of one in this room.
That likes it, huh?
I did like it.
Oh.
Now, let me try to explain why.
You were high.
I might have liked it if the camera was better.
But see, the problem... Let me jump back to the Godzilla movies a minute. We all have to admit, big Toho monster movie fans though we may be, I am one of the biggest. I have to admit that there has never been a giant monster movie that looks real all the way through. In other words, as much as we like it, like even like the best attempts, like with the the first Godzilla King of the Monsters, there are always, the more you show the monster on the screen, the more chances you have to screw up the special effects.
True. The more it looks like a guy in a suit.
The more it looks like, the more you look at it clear. And this doesn't just go for Toho. This goes for, King Kong, when Peter Jackson made King Kong. Okay, great special effects, but the longer the monster is on the screen, the less it looks real.
Yeah, it starts to ruin the illusion.
Right, thank you. Best way to put it, it ruins the illusion if the monster is on the screen too much. So that's why the Cloverfield approach was, the less you see of the monster,
it's more believable.
It's more believable, the more real it looks.
Why are you agreeing with him? That movie was a pile of crap.
Oh, it was just, I could see his point of view where it had potential, but the fact is, I still wanted to puke the whole time just because I couldn't even stomach to watch it, so I couldn't get involved enough.
But that aside, now,
I couldn't pay attention to it well enough.
Yeah.
Because I was just like so turned off by it. I'm like, I can't get
my
involved.
argument is that what makes a great monster movie, one of the things that makes a great monster movie is that the monster looks convincing.
Yeah.
So that you can suspend, as they say, you can suspend your disbelief and enjoy it. And I will argue with my last breath that the monster in Cloverfield, what we saw of it, looked real. I mean, most of the time it was a shadow. Most of the time it was an arm or a leg. Most of the, they were all, in other words, you didn't, amid clouds of destruction, it looked real. And to me, that's the mark of a great monster movie, great horror movie.
I can't ever watch that again. And I tried watching it twice. No, can't do it.
The formula you're explaining is a formula for success if the other components of the movie are successful.
All right, so what you're saying is that what doesn't, by the way, Tony, how are we doing for time here? We're going to get into a little bit of a devolved discussion. What is it? 40 minutes. Okay. Yeah, what we're going to get into now is a question about the the feasibility of found video, the found video movie format.
Yeah, it ruined it.
See, from the Blair Witch Project was the first. Blair Witch Project is one of my favorite horror movies.
I've never actually watched it beginning to end. I always have to turn it off or walk away.
Because
of the way it's
filmed. That video format.
Yep.
See, and to me, point. I understand what you're saying. I understand the point, but to me, that adds to if it's found video done well, adds to the realism. Because the other thing it does, besides giving you just bits and pieces of what's going on, is because it answers the question of this. If this was really happening, like whether it's the Blair Witch on killing in the woods or the creature attacking New York, who is going to stand there and give you, the usual movie eye view, the complicated camera shots, the 360 degrees, the close-ups, in other words, the very nature of typical movie making makes it look less real. If you see what I'm saying. In other words, the found video format is the only format to me that I've ever seen that makes a horror movie convincing.
Well, then you have that first-person experience.
It's first-person experience. You only experience what that person experiences. Right, and that makes it very convincing. I mean, now, it can be done badly. I mean, even in that format. I've seen really crappy found video because it's cheap. It's, as anything else, it's a low-budget tactic.
Survival of the Dead?
Because then you're only focused on basically one character, so there's a lot less character development going on in a found footage type of film.
You lose a lot of everything else. But
you lose the story sometimes.
Good Chuckles, what?
I don't want that to seem real. I'm watching a horror movie for entertainment.
You want all the guts and glory.
If I want a reality and I want to have a real scare, I'd go out in the streets of Providence. All right? I want to sit there and watch the movie and enjoy the fact that this is fake. I don't care about the found footage. If I want to watch found footage, I'd turn to what? Watch, or watch Police, or listen to that.
That's funny. No, that's a point. So in other words, you watch when we say you enjoyed a horror movie, you're not really watching the horror movie to get scared. or you're not really watching it to see something. Hey, that's real.
Right.
In other words, you want that fantasy element. You want